Previously on the Frontier Farmer. So we've got to get this compacted and flattened up. I can see Richard, and I can see what he has been busy purchasing. We have a milk truck in the dark forest now. I thought, well, what better than to place an orchard in Burrfield? And here it is, our orchard. A big job for this afternoon to get all the materials we need. So I am going to set about gathering everything. And Richard mentioned that the pallet shack has been set up in the corner here. And I gotta say, I think the orchard is looking pretty good now. And the orchard is not complete without its sign naming it Berr Orchard in honour of Tim. Next time could potentially be setting up some more productions that we have in mind, which will be interesting. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Frontier Farmer at the Dark Forest. It is now June time, and because of the lovely summer weather, we have seen our Berr Orchard absolutely spring into life and make a good amount of nice produce for us. So I think the first thing that's in order for this morning is to inspect how much we have and take some over to the farm shop for selling. So we have been growing some apricots, apples, cherries, pears, plums and peaches, and we have a good amount of all. We're storing everything. So yeah, we're between 1.5 to nearly 4,000 litres of each thing, which is really good. And we have also got some organic waste being created, which is good. That's going to help us do some composting in the future. So I think what we're going to do is take everything but the plums to the farm shop for sale. And we're not taking the plums because I have a nice idea planned for the plums later on. There we go. This is everything but the plums. And some pallets are 500 litres and some pallets are 1,000 litres. So yes, I think the apples are 500 litres each, which is good. So yeah, we need to get this all loaded onto the flatbed so we can take it for sale. So let's get started. And that's the last of the apricots loaded, so we can get some things strapped down on here. And it's a good job we didn't have much more because we've got a full flatbed. There we go. Get this all nicely strapped up and we can get it over to Riverways where our farm shop is. But let's just hop on here where there's a bit of a gap. As yes, we can see the lovely cherries, the apples, down the back is the apricots, and then we've got our pears, and what is this? This is, our peaches. Fantastic. So let's hop in the Iveco, get fired up, and we will be back again later, as mentioned, because we have a bit of a plan with the plums, and that will be involving something new to the homestead, and a new produce as well for our settlers at Lake Point. Over the bridge, and the fruit wagon is on its way. Our settlers wanted some fruit and they are going to get it. Past the butchers, and Chuck I think has finished up doing all the butchering of the pigs into bacon. So I think he's actually looking for a different project, and he has been in touch with me to see if we could set something up, because he's got a great idea for keeping people's houses warm, and in preparation for winter he thinks it would be a useful thing to get going in the dark forest, so we'll probably be going over there later to see him. But here we go, farm shop, a lovely delivery of fruit for you. Let's get unloaded. Wow, an absolutely gargantuan amount that we have received, just shy of 19,000 for all of our fruit. So I think the settlers are pretty happy with that stock coming in, and we'll have to get someone from the farm shop to do some regular deliveries from Berr Orchard to the farm shop. Right, I think next we're probably going to drop the Iveco here actually, so our settlers and Riverway workers can use the flatbed for taking some deliveries. And I'm going to be taking the bulldozer back to the homestead because we are going to need to be using it to clear a space. Ah, the dairy truck is here. I think they've collected all the milk from the cow farm, so that is good. But here we go, the Old Dark Forest for Forestry Commission's lorry, which we can jump in. I don't think we need the log trailer, but we're going to come round to the other side because I believe that is where the trailer containing the Berr forestry machine and our bulldozer are. Don't need the Berr, but I have a job for the bulldozer which is going to come in handy. Alright, we're hitched up, so let's back out of here and get over to the homestead. Okay, right, we have arrived, so let's just unfold the trailer ramp, there we go, and unlatch our bulldozer. Been a little while since we used this, but it has actually fired up into action, which is good. Now, I'm just taking the bulldozer over to the fenced off site around here, just creeping between the orchard and our silage bunker. There should be a good amount of space behind here, hopefully, once I've finished turning. It's always a bit slow doing the tight turns, but here we go, we've got a bit of a channel we can go through. And you may recall that there is a fenced area behind where Tim Berr's house was, and now Tim Berr Memorial. And this fenced off area is just a little bit sort of in the way. And it just so happens that it is kind of the perfect sized site for us to place a marmalade factory. And you might have guessed it, we are going to be making plum marmalade from the leftover plums from the orchard. So I'm going to be using the bulldozer to knock down this picket fence, and hopefully we've then got a clear site to cut the trees down. And Thomas said he was going to set up the firewood saw so we can just turn everything that is here into firewood, as it's a little bit tight to get the wood out to the wood storage yard. So let's get to it and knock this fence down. Oh, there we go. Well, it's made quite a mess, but I think Thomas is going to chop all this up for us and just turn it into firewood as well, which is quite handy. So that's good. The fence is gone and we can get in there to cut down the trees, and they're not going to fall on the fence and make a blooming mess. So yeah, let's get the bulldozer back over to the trailer, get it loaded up. That's the bulldozer done for the day. I'm not going to bother clearing the shrubbery away because we're going to be building on top of that, so that's absolutely fine. It may be that some of the wood we have got from the fence and from the trees we're cutting down could feed into the marmalade factory that we're going to be building. Have to take a bit of a run up here to get some momentum, but there we go. I think we're on, and stop. Oh, I did actually shunt the lead here. Oh dear. There we go. That is loaded again. Let's get over to that site so we can chop some trees down. Now, this whole area is looking quite pretty now with the orchard and Tim Berr's memorial. And aha, I see Thomas has set up the firewood shack and already cleared some of the mess from the picket fence, which is good. Must have just gone back to get some tools. But here we go, we've got some trees to cut down, and I think we're going to be doing this the old-fashioned way. So we'll grab our trusty chainsaw, we'll chop the trees down, de-limb them, and then I think for old time's sake I'm going to use the farm to come and winch them. But yeah, we'll chop the trees down first and angle it over this way, and we can use the chainsaw to just clear the stump, which is really handy. And yeah, once this site is cleared, we can come and winch these trees out of here. Well, that is the site, I think, cleared of all the trees that we need for space. So we've chopped down, de-limbed and chopped the stump away, which has been good. So now it's on to winching, and for that, yes, as mentioned, I think we're going to go back to some of the golden oldie times of the Dark Forest and grab the farm awl and the winch, which was the first piece of machinery that we used to clear trees out well, when we were building our homestead house. And it's nice to use some of the equipment of old now and again, because we of course have been advancing the machinery we use, but it is a good chance to remember the stuff that helped the homestead in the early days. In the farm hall, and we can head over to grab the winch. And here's the winch, and of course the winch has pride of place parking in one of the first sheds that we built on the homestead. There we go, let's hitch up to it. Slightly blocked in by the skid steer, which is our more modern piece of forestry equipment. Right, got the winch, so let's head back over. Nip through the trees, and aha! Thomas is here. Hello Thomas, thanks for lending us a hand. Yep, what I'll do is I'll winch all of the logs up to you, and you can turn it into firewood. Let's go. Okay, that is the last log pushed in towards the firewood production. Thomas has been working his little hands off to try and get the wood chopped up and cut into firewood, but he has got a lot to handle, probably more than he was expecting. But there we go, we've potentially got the opportunity to take some of the logs if he can't get through it all to the wood storage yard, but it is a bit of a tight squeeze, but might be able to make it. I don't want to venture into and disrupt Tim Berr's memorial if we can afford to. But yes, we will take the farm all back, get the winch parked up, and then if Thomas hasn't had the opportunity to clear that wood, then maybe we will go over to see Chuck and get one of the productions that he was thinking of venturing into set up. Right, here we go. We can pull into the shed and get the winch dropped off. I think we got it out of there, so hoping there's enough space to squeeze it back in. It is a bit tight around here. Watch out for the skid steer tyres, don't want those to pop. There we go. Perfect. I think we can park up in here too. Now, I think we'll hop in the pickup because we are going to be needing this to haul some of the plums over to the marmalade factory once it is created. So we'll drop this over by the orchard, and if Thomas is still working his way through that pile of logs, then we will head over to go and see Chuck. And whilst on my way, I should say that the oats in Farmside Field are growing quite nicely. I think next month they will be ready to harvest, hopefully. But that's why we've had to be kept busy with productions and other goings on. And the grass field in Newfield is at the ready to harvest point, but at the lower level. So I'm thinking at some point next month we'll have that ready to mow as well. So it could be a big harvest and mowing session next month. And through here where we have our canola, that's turned a lovely yellow colour. This is of course Stone End Field. And yes, I think this potentially could be ready next month or the month after. We will have to wait and see, but it's looking good. Right, we can drop this trailer off ready here for when the plums can be taken to the new marmalade factory. But if we just swan through this gap here, I'm thinking, yes, I think Thomas still has quite a few trees to work through. So what we'll do is we'll go and see Chuck instead. You crack on, Thomas, and we'll see you soon. Now, I think that's been our first dose of doing some forestry for a long while. Aha, Barkamus is at the end of the bridge here. He's had a little tour over to come and see Riverways and Lake Point, I see. Look out, young man. Out the way. Go on. Back home you go. Or do you want to hop in? Good old Barkamus. He does love his adventures. Oh, what's all this then? Looks like there's a new shack that's been set up here. Right next to Chuck's Butcher's. Let's take a little look and see what's going on. Hello? Anybody in? Aha, that makes sense. So Chuck has just explained to me that when he came to live at Lake Point, he obviously brought his wife, and she is well into her knitwear. So she set up a little stall for Granny's knitwear. I didn't catch her name actually, but we'll call her Granny. And yes, she is going to be turning some of the wool that we have into clothing, and I think she can also work with cotton and a couple of other materials as well. So yeah, that's pretty good. We're going to have Granny's knitwear supplying the settlers with clothing, which is fantastic. Right, Chuck did say that his little project, which was not that one actually, is somewhere in West Creek where he wants to get it set up. Okay, right, let's just stop here for a moment. Chuck, I think, is wanting me to head into the trees over this way. Okay, kind of makes sense. Chuck has explained to me that there's this nice alcove here in the forest, and he wants to set up a coal production. And he says that all of the settlers at the moment are using wood and firewood for fuel for the winter, which is fine to heat their houses. But he said a more efficient way is to actually turn wood into charcoal, and it burns much more efficiently and means we use less, which is, I guess, good for the environment. But one other bonus is that the coal production, obviously the process of making coal is burning and charring wood, and that carbon dioxide is going to really help the yield of our crops in West Creek Farm. So yeah, we are going to be building a charcoal production. And here it is, our charcoal production. So Chuck's been telling me all about how it works. We have these 4 stoves here where wood can be deposited, and we effectively start a fire and then starve it of oxygen, and that stops the burning, stops the fire, and turns the wood into charcoal. And then he comes along, collects it, and there will be some packets of charcoal effectively dropped in here, which we can then distribute to our settlers for burning in their fires and stoves, which is fantastic. So I think this is wearing away already, and we'll hopefully get a wood delivery here. And there we go, we've had a wood delivery come in, and we can see that our coal factory is going to turn one wood into 1 packet of charcoal. So there we go, that is looking pretty good, and we've got it half full, so should work for a good amount of time. And holy cow, I think we've had our first batch of coal produced. That was very fast, so there we go. Vegetal carvao. I guess that means coal, so fantastic. Well, we'll leave that there, and that's going to get picked up and probably sold at the farm shop as a means of distribution, or maybe next to where the firewood selling point was, next to the garage. Right, let's head out of West Creek and head back to the homestead. I'm hoping Thomas is going to be finished with clearing the firewood and we can build the marmalade factory. Nip through the trees, and oh, I think he's down to his last log. Fantastic. Well, that's cleared enough space so we can build our marmalade factory. Right, let's go, Thomas. And here it is, our marmalade factory. So it is quite the construction, quite a building and site. But yeah, let's head on in. Oh, I think the gate is locked, so we've had to pop it. But I can hear some water running. And oh, look at this, they've got quite a lot going on. I think this is probably where they do some of the cooking of the plums to make them ready for marmalade. Looks like there's a bit of a office building there. And oh yeah, are your hands clean? Here looks to be where they sort the plums into jars. So yeah, these are all empty at the moment. So we better go fetch some plums, and then we can get some plum marmalade underway. Right, that's 4 pallets of plums. There's lots more in the orchard ready to be picked, so we'll take 4 for now and keep it well topped up. Let's head back in the pickup, and I think I'm going to have to create some sort of better track or a different route around to the marmalade factory. I'm thinking probably running behind the orchard and in that tree line where Stone Enfield is having its border. Alright, let's just park up here, and hopefully the gate is unlocked. If not, we'll just have to get the pallets loaded over the fence. Well, that gate is still locked, so I'm going to have to talk to them about that. But here we go, our plums are deposited and are unloading into the plum factory. So let's see what we can make. So here we go, we've got our plums in, and we can turn 3 plums into 10 units of marmalade. And yeah, it'd be nice to see what marmalade we have made by next month. Hopefully we can churn through quite a bit. But yeah, that's looking good. Right, so we can depart. I think a fair few of our workers from Lake Point are going to come and work here. The same that do the picking at the orchard, which is very handy for us. And I think lastly, I just wanted to take some wool over to Granny so she could start making some clothing. So let's go to the sheep pen, grab some wool and head back. Well, that's 4 pallets of the finest wool loaded up. Let's go see Granny. Right, here you go, Granny. Some of the finest wool in the dark forest, if not the only wool in the dark forest. So here's Granny's knitwear. We've got 4,000 litres of wool in, so we can start making clothes from wool. When I say we, I mean Granny. I think she's going to be working her fingers really hard to get the settlers all nicely clothed. And yes, the wool clothing will be well received in time for the winter, I'm sure, when it starts to get colder. So we'll leave Granny to it and head back for the day. It's been an interesting one. We took a load of fruit to the farm shop and then got the site cleared for the marmalade factory. Now I think that was potentially some sort of ancient burial ground. It was very peculiar, and it's where we found that little John Deere 3-wheeler that you can see in the shed there in the animal area. But nonetheless, we have finally cleared that now, and that is going to be the site for our marmalade factory, or is the site for our marmalade factory, and they are now busy wearing away making plum marmalade, which is very nice. Seems that they only make plum marmalade, which is interesting, but yeah, nonetheless, that is going to be some extra produce for our settlers, and it's nice alongside the plentiful amount of fruit they received. And then, thanks to Chuck and his wife, we've got Granny's knitwear set up, making clothes for the dark forest. And now, because Chuck is not doing full-time butchering, he is going to manage the coal production for us, which will help the settlers come wintertime to fuel all their fires and keep their houses and stoves going. I think next month, hopefully some of our harvests are ready to come in. But that is it for today, so I hope you have enjoyed watching. If you have, remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you've got any tips, tricks or things you'd like me to do, then feel free to leave a comment. But all that's left to say is, I hope to see you again next time on The Frontier Farmer, and until then, catch you later. Cheers all, bye bye.